Also, we didn't evolve for money. Money is a really cool and useful thing when there's this many people and they're all offering all these different things and stuff. So it's really cool to have like a representation of value, a physical representation of, purchasing power. But we're human brains, and right. So the answer to the question of when society started to suck would be when society accelerated relative to evolution of the brain. When cultural evolution accelerated beyond evolution of the actual mechanisms that are supposed to be doing the culture or doing the economy, whatever. I mean, I don't think anybody's super good at money except for people who are super concerned about that and super focused on that. I think that most brains, first of all, even if they tried, the only way that they could be good with money would be to make it their obsession. And not necessarily getting more, but just maybe they're pinching pennies. It can be wherever on the spectrum, but okay, that was weird. But not weird. It was that was a miss. What I should say is, it's not about wealth. It's just that if they're just focused on money, whatever they're making and whatever they're spending, it would just have to be their obsession, the ins and outs. And maybe I'm wrong, Well, no, I'm definitely wrong, but maybe you see how I'm wrong, and maybe you can help me see how I'm wrong. But I've never understood money. Never. It gives me a headache just thinking about it. So wait, I have these numbers coming in, and then it's not even just one purchase because things add up. Spend go to the store, go to another store, and you're not even buying big things, and before you know it, your account's empty. Like, it would be okay if we were doing all this, like, innovating and stuff and having all these complex societal systems, like finance, economy, whatever. And we all acknowledge that, like, holy shit, we're being really ambitious here. And there are a lot of people that just can't do this. And other people that are really missing out on life because that's what they're doing. That would be really cool if we knew that. Because then, we could put more systems in place. I mean, everybody should have like a bloody accountant. Whoever's good with money wants to make that their thing. Those numbers. The brain doesn't fucking understand numbers like that. Okay, less urgency. Do you believe me? Do you believe that most 20 and 30-year-olds struggle to stay sort of above their early 30s, struggle to stay above zero in their accounts? I don't know about most. I feel weird saying that, but I kind of want to stick to it also. And then how many people who are like successful then end up going bankrupt? I mean, we always spend beyond our means. But since we think we're these robot souls, we're like, oh, okay, we can just like change the culture and everybody can adapt. It's like not how adaptation works. It takes thousands of generations. It would be much better to just know what the brain is capable of now and what we want to ask of the brain now, of ourselves now. And then put systems like that in. Sorry, just bringing me back to school and my frustrations, because I really wanted to do it. I wanted to learn these things. I wanted to do what was asked, to prove myself, to have a record of my ability and willingness to contribute. And look, we don't have to take me as an example, but there are lots of people who did not succeed in school but made major contributions to society, or it did more than pull their weight, let's say. And the more that school gets like robotic and undifferentiated and stuff, the more that we have to hope that people who don't fit into that don't either burn off or fall to the side. I wouldn't say I fall onto the side, because there's a social component. I still wouldn't have been able to interact with people, even if I had been able to get my PhD. I would have been able to interact with people, excuse me. And then they would have just been, what do you mean by that? What are you trying to do? What are you saying? Oh my gosh, you just want to blah, 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 blah. Whoa, 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 whoa. And that's another problem with us not being in community. People who know me well, who have history with me. One person comes to mind, my mom. Yeah, because my sister, she has trouble interpreting me. My dad's a bit sort of sensitive. And so he kind of often feels. But on the other hand, he knows. But if I were around people, if there was an implicit trust, then I know everything would be, I think everything would be good. But because we are not within our own community, we're all constantly on the lookout for threats and attackers. So autistic people get screwed. Autistic people can be adored by their family, except, unless it's like a sibling who, then this is not the case for my sister, but a sibling who then, or they don't spend much time and then with their autistic sibling, and then they start getting these other stupid ideas into their head about all the dangers in the world, all the sociopaths, all the narcissists, and there really aren't that many. There's more people who have trouble making you socially happy than there are people who want to make you socially miserable. Anyways, we have to be on guard, and so anything that might be a threat. But the thing is, when you're in a community, when you're with people that you trust, you're much more lenient. You afford the benefit of the doubt to people. You can imagine how they might have done something for either a nice reason or just not a bad reason. I'm happy about adding this video. I think I said some things that are worthwhile, and some things that explain my relationship to this world and my frustrations with it. Because I would love to be in the middle of society. I would love to be smack dab in the middle, working with people. And I would have been able to accomplish a lot more. But there are certain qualities that I don't have that are necessary in school and in interacting with strangers, who are people who don't already trust you. And my brain evolved to exist in a community of people. All of our brains fucking did. No wonder everybody's so many people are so unhappy. These systems that we have made do not at all match the conditions in which we evolved to thrive. We don't need to go back to the plains of Africa, to the Caucasus. We don't all need to wear loincloths and cook over the fire and hunt for every meal. But gosh, I think it would be better. But no, we can put things in place. I mean, imagine that. Imagine the 21st century resources being available in some hub, right? So you go downtown to see the doctor, to blah, 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 blah. Every Sunday, maybe people go stock up on food in case they're not able, in case, their garden, whatever. No, it is good that individuals don't have to go after their food. It allows them to be able to do other things. So it is cool that we have people whose job it is to provide food for everybody else. People whose job it is to provide books for everybody else. People whose job it is. Specialization is cool. But it works best when everybody's sort of taken care of. Anyway, we'll leave it at that. No, but it's like the whole robot thing. It's like we expect people to be born in this world and just regardless of whatever, and regardless of how different their environment is from the environment that they were genetically prepared for. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, and then we think of them as like robots and just like, okay, learn what the society needs and go do it. And we're not that easily programmable. Mother Nature encrypted a lot of the programs. So it's really, really hard to figure out how to move around the neurons and change the connections in order to adjust to what you're supposed to do in this decade. Why is college so hard? Why is college so hard, actually? I can understand once you specialize and you have to do your PhD or something, or your master's, once you have to go into graduate school, okay. But college is supposed to be about getting young people learning together, learning from each other, and just learning, right? And learning how to learn is what it's that's what they say now it's supposed to be. And really what it is just we throw a whole bunch of work at people, and then whoever is able to juggle all that work, they don't even have to understand the shit that they do. I don't know if they get mad. I haven't felt or thought about my resentment towards people who got good grades without actually learning the stuff, without actually being interested in or being able to talk about it. I guess you don't have to be interested in it, but it just sucks that so many people have been able to. I mean, I guess what I'm trying to say is we're not giving ourselves the best of the best. We're giving ourselves the best multitaskers. We're giving ourselves the people who are best at following orders. You take someone who's not super bright and doesn't really have anything to say, but is dressed properly, doesn't really have a whole bunch of questions, but it's dressed properly, keeps themselves, does what's supposed to be done. And you have someone else over here who's well outside of wherever the concentration of normal is, and they're not really following the rules and stuff. but super interesting about which of them is going to get their bachelor's and be able to move on to their graduate degree. If you like, I mean, I don't even, is it even, I mean, the bachelor's literally isn't even a thing about intelligence. I would okay, obviously more people drop out of college because they couldn't keep up with the sort of the way the workload was and the way things were. They like, okay, I'm gonna talk to you, tell you information, you go back home, write down that information, and bring it back on time. That's really easy for some people. And it's really hard for a lot of people because that's not what we're not the descendants of people who had to do that. Does that exist? People like failing out of college literally just because they like couldn't like they just couldn't handle the material? That doesn't exist, right? Not to mention, a teacher's going to be a lot. Am I? Maybe I'm just talking on my ass. I have the impression, heard the teacher's going to be a lot more lenient, willing with someone who just does not get the material, is really struggling, goes to the office hours, and is always on time for class, always turns everything in on time. It's never very good. And that person goes and talks to the teacher, and I'm just imagining that the teacher wants to pass that student. But if you're the student who's not showing up on time, who is skipping classes, who doesn't have the prefrontal cortex to be, okay, classes, then office hours at this teacher, then that class, then I'll work on this assignment a little bit, then I'm going to go check that assignment with maybe the study group, and then the next morning I'm going to go to that professor's office and talk to them about it. The person who doesn't have the prefrontal cortex for that, but can definitely give you something worthwhile on the material, or I can, understand it quite quickly. The professor isn't gonna be like, oh gosh, I see, hey, so what's your name again? All right, I haven't really seen you in class, but the times you have been there, I saw you really got the material, and you're talking to me now, you seem to really get the material, so I really want to pass you. So, it's not a big deal if you turn it in late or something like that. I feel like that is a situation that happens far less often than someone's like, hey, just turn it in by the deadline, I want to pass you, and if it's really bad, we'll talk about it and stuff. The thing is, and what I love about you is you're always in class, you're always on time, you're always taking notes. By the way, one cool thing that I did have in college was that I could get someone else's notes from class. Now, one reason is because sometimes I was just in bed, I wasn't going to class. And another reason that's good is because for my brain, with people with learning disabilities, ADHD, and a whole host of things, they have a lot of trouble keeping notes. So I was able to get other people's notes. It was officially sanctioned. So that was really cool. But yeah, I mean, I would be in the front of the classroom when I'm there. If I'm in the front of the classroom and I'm raising my hand, I'm interacting and all that stuff, the teacher's going to like that. But the number one thing is going to be the deadlines, isn't it? You turn it in a day late. How many professors have I had? You turn it in one day late, they will not accept it. You turn it in at fucking 5:32, they will not accept it. You turn it in at midnight 05, they will not accept it, or it's a full letter grade below. How wild. A thing that our ancestors didn't have to deal with at all, deadlines. That is now one of the cornerstones of our society because we're trying to do more and more and more, so we always have to do it by this date, is what decides a great deal of, the question of who, you understand. Wait, cancel import. Fuck, messed that up. Wait, cancel export. One thing I want to add is one of my best friends is named Alex. He was living in the same woods as me from 2020 to 2022. And so last time I was in Paris, about a week ago, I gave him a pack of cigarettes because they were cheaper in Germany. I always bring something back for him. And so a big pack of cigarettes like this, 52 cigarettes, for 17 euros. And he was like, whoa, that's great, thanks. I've never seen anything like of this size, I guess. It's just like a pack. But I don't even know if that's true. Anyway, not important. I saw him the next day, or maybe 2 days later. I saw him 2 days later, and he's got like 2 or 3 left out of the 52. Obviously not possible. Well, at least he doesn't smoke that much. He has smoked 48 cigarettes in 48 hours. And it's always the same thing, because anytime if I come back from Portugal or something, I'll give him some cigarettes, or when my girlfriend was working in Mali, she'd bring me cigarettes and I'd give some to him. And then every time they were gone like that. And it's like, well, where did they go? And he says, well, I gave them away. Because fuck community, when we were in the woods, the guy's got nothing. When I arrived, he had already been there about 6 years, didn't have government benefits or anything, it was just too much of a headache to do the paperwork, literally. He could be getting 500 euros a month and to buy food and stuff, but he's good. He goes to where there's free food and he finds stuff and, we'll trade and stuff. And, now that I think about it, I miss it so much. But yeah, and it's like he would always say to me, because I pay his telephone bill. And sometimes, he feels, like I'm contributing more to the relationship. But he always has gifts for me. Hey, I found this jacket. Hey, and I really believe it's not stolen. Some of the guys, they say they found, and I think it's stolen. I mean, maybe it is stolen in the sense that he could have given it to the lost and found. That it wasn't actually, like, in the garbage or on the side of the road or whatever. But anyway, so, my point was that, I'm going to sort of an extreme of someone who isn't able to, in this society, hold down a job and, do what's supposed to be done in 2023. Well, he is. He's doing what's supposed to be done, for him and his friends, and he's, but in order to be approved of by everybody else, in order to be able to participate in the same activities as everybody else, that's somebody, that's just not how his brain works. He's not into hard drugs. He doesn't drink. He just smokes hash. That's it. And anyway, I just wanted to share that with you because that's what our brain evolved to do, to live in a community and to share, to love and trust the people around us and to share. There's this guy named Gary. We don't like him. Thief, gets real angry, gets into fights. He and I have not fought, have had some conflicts, and one guy, he drained his bank account, this guy who let him sleep. Anyway, bad guy. And Alex is, of course, still, Alex is Gary's best friend in the woods, I think. I think he has other friends on the streets, but in the woods, I think Alex is best friend. So that's always home base. Whenever he gets out of prison, whenever he returns from, wherever he went off to in France, whenever he returns to Paris, that's home base. He's sleeping on Alex's couch, stealing Alex's juice. My parents bought Alex a t-shirt it's a big American flag, and it looks really good on him. And one day it goes missing. And a little while later, he's going to the free food place, and he sees Gary wearing this shirt, and Gary tries to tell him he got it from somewhere else. Because my parents, when they had visited, they brought a present for him, for some of my friends. Anyway, so that's, I don't know about you, but I'll just say for me, that's life. My brain can handle sharing, can handle exchanging, trading. My brain can handle that. My brain cannot handle holding on to resources for some unspecified time. I can be very frugal. There are times I don't pull out my card. A few years ago, there were times like that. But then as soon as I was like, oh, okay, we'll do this thing, this activity, and then all of a sudden it was gone. For months it didn't budge, and then all of a sudden it was gone. So anyway, that was my story. Okay, third video of this bonus content. Lucky you. But it's not to add much. It's just that I was going to say in the previous video what Alex used to always say to me when sometimes there was some mechanism reminding him that, I'm usually the one who maybe provides a hash when he would come over, which would be every day, and the tobacco. And he would, say, when I have something, you know me, when I have something, I share it. I kept wanting to say you have it, but no, I share it. And that's just very, very true, beautiful, natural, and unfortunately, sort of forgotten.